All right, here we go. Social studies today. You were supposed to read chapter 8, lesson 5 yesterday, so I need those notes out. We're going to go over those. You can have the PDF for lesson 5 out as well. That way if you missed something or you didn't have something written down or I asked an extra question, you can look in the lesson to find it. I'll give you a second, we'll get that out, and then we'll get started. If you have not submitted your lesson 5 notes, you need to do that. I posted a reminder on updates to get them submitted this morning before I post a video, because once I post this video, which if you're watching it means I've already posted it, you will not get full credit for those notes. That should have been done yesterday. All right, here we go. First section, moving toward independence. What did Richard Henry Lee tell colonists? He was a important person in lesson 5. What did he tell the colonists? Brendan? Yeah, they didn't owe loyalty to the king anymore. So we've seen that word twice now. We read that word in Where the Red Fern Grows, right? Mr. Kyle talked about how dogs aren't necessarily loyal, but they are showing love, and that was a question on the quiz I gave you yesterday. And here we're seeing that word again. What does loyalty mean? I'm not up here, but what does loyalty mean? Josh?
It's kind of like you'll do something for that person, you'll lay your life down for to do something for them.
Just for somebody you're loyal to?
Yeah. Oh no, if say your favorite NFL team loses, then you're sad, but
right.
You don't give up.
Okay, good, right? You're still gonna be their biggest fan or one of their fans, right? You're not gonna be like, oh, that team was terrible, I'm gonna find somebody else. Right? If you're loyal to that team, you're gonna stay true to them, right? And not find a different team. Okay? So here, loyalty means they don't owe the king anything else, right? They don't need to have a king. Okay? They're gonna figure something else out. All right? So that's what the loyalty here is. So Richard Henry says the colonists, that's who they are, the colonists no longer owe loyalty to the king. All right, question, Riker?
I finished the notes.
So get them submitted. Did you submit them already? Okay, good. All right, Wyatt.
I was gonna read the.
So we're ready for the next one. Who was asked to write the Declaration of Independence? Go ahead, Wyatt.
Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, Thomas Jefferson, and we had read a different article, right?
Yeah.
About Thomas Jefferson, where they took a lot of what he had used, and what he originally wrote to become the Declaration of Independence. All right, and that gets us into section 2, which is the Declaration of Independence. And I asked you to tell me a little bit about those 4 parts. Okay, they kind of broke it down into these separate parts to tell you, not specifics, but give you a general idea. So the first part is called the what? What's the first part called, Maya? Yeah, that's the preamble. And if we look over here, I'm going to slide this over. We can see I also have a preamble written. So here's the preamble, and then I have the Classroom Bill of Rights, which serves as our kind of classroom rules, right? So what does a preamble do? What's the preamble do? What's its purpose, Kenny?
It's kind of like the introduction to a story. It's
Yeah.
telling you what the main idea of it is.
Yeah, when you're doing writing with Mrs. Bush in language, she's always telling you how important that introduction is, right? Okay, it gives you the idea or the knowledge of what you're going to read about. In this case, it tells us what this declaration is for. What is its purpose? Okay? And why it is needed. So the second part, what's the second part do, John? Right, it describes the government, what the colonists think their government should look like. Okay, so that was the second part. The longest part of the Declaration, what was that, Nick?
The charges against King.
So it lists, and they use the word
Like-
grievances, so complaints against the king.
Like complaints like why they
Right.
and what to, like, why they should have.
Right, their issues with him. So grievances was a vocab word, and that word means their issues, right? Their complaints about what the king was doing. What else did that longest part include? Not only did it include the complaints, it included something else, Josh.
They complained against the King George and the Parliament.
Okay, so it was both the king and the parliament. That's their government. What else did it include, though, Claire? Their what? So them uniting. Is that what you're talking about? Grievances, yeah, we mentioned that one. The grievances. Jackson? Right, so they mentioned the grievances and the way they tried to settle their differences. Okay, remember they sent an olive branch to the king. They sent several different items to the king trying to say, hey, we don't want to fight. We don't want to do this. But we also feel we need representation in the government, right? Okay, the colonists felt strongly that they should have been part of that government, which was way across the ocean, right? Okay, then the king and the parliament had no idea what was really happening over here where they were. So they felt they should have a say, and they tried several times to settle those differences. So that's the longest part. A lot of grievances were listed, and then how they tried to settle those differences. So make sure you have that written for the longest part. 2 things. All right, and the last part does what, Adam? Right, it states that those colonies are free and independent. Okay, that's what it's telling them. It says, we've tried, these are the grievances, it hasn't worked, so we are no longer going to be part of your country or your government. We're going to do our own thing. Okay, so there's our declaration. Have we even seen a war yet? No, not yet. So a lot of people think that the Declaration of Independence ended the war, or in fact, it's going to start the war. Okay, yeah, we're saying we're independent, and now we're going to fight for that. Okay, so this Declaration of Independence kind of states to the king, we don't want to be part of what you have going on anymore, and from there, they're telling him, this is what's going to happen, right? Okay, so keep that in mind. Let's go down here. Congress approves the declaration. Nick, question, comment?
Wait, so like, this how you said it started the war? So basically, what you're saying is, the Britishers probably gonna get mad and like, attack them.
Exactly. He's not gonna be very happy about this, is he? He's gonna get this paper and say, oh, no, 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 no. This is my land. They're gonna stay part of our government, right? Because why did they want that land still? Why would the king still want to have those colonies and those people in that land? Sean?
They're making him money and maybe he has more land.
Exactly. Right? More land, more resources, more people,
Doesn't
the
he
money.
have enough money already?
Okay, you would think so, right? Apparently not.
Donald Trump.
He always wants more.
Always want more. Congress approves the declaration. So here I asked you to kind of summarize these 2 pages using those headings and subheadings, right? Make those questions. What happens on these 2 pages? Just kind of a quick general ideas here. John, tell me what happened.
Congress voted to accept this declaration's final working.
Yep, what day? Today we all remember, right?
4th of
July 4th, 1776, so they approve, or they accept that declaration, right? The colonists do, those delegates that were there. And many of them start celebrating that day, right?
Now I understand.
Okay, they're kind of getting rid of things that were the king's, his picture, or whatever else was hanging that reminded them of the king. Okay, so that's where kind of our celebration for the 4th of July starts. That was the day we first say, we're independent.
Oh,
Okay? What else happens? Let's finish our summary of this. What else happens? They celebrated because the declaration was accepted. Jackson, what else?
It was a big change from being governed by the king.
That is a big change, right? They are kind of making doing something very dangerous in signing that declaration. Kenny, what do you think?
He gave the draft,
Okay? Didn't make the king very happy, did it? What else? Why was it dangerous for those delegates to sign that, Maya?
It was dangerous because if they lost the war, the people who signed it could
I need you
get,
sitting up following along. We can go to the office now.
could get signed with treason and they could get killed.
Right, if Americans were to end up losing this battle, right, those ones that signed that document could be charged with treason, okay, and they could be punished for that. So they were taking kind of a gamble. If I sign this, right, and if we lose, it could not end well for me. But if they win, which we know in the end, we do,
Yeah.
right, then it's going to be a good thing. So they were kind of taking a gamble there. Josh?
The Americans, they also burned down King George's statue.
They did. They burned down the statue, right? They were tearing down posters. So a lot of celebrating going on when they accept this declaration. Kenny?
So how could they be charged with treason if they've left the government?
Well, if England still owns those colonies, right, and still is in charge of them, and they're speaking against the government is what they were doing, right? That declaration was speaking against the king and his government. So,
Wait, I have a question.
mm-hmm.
Are people in England now still like mad about what happened?
I don't think so.
Probably not, because this
I
was
don't
like,
think they are.
these were like
No.
2,000, 3,000 years ago.
Yeah, it's very different now. Not that many years ago. Sean?
How do they call destroying the king's stuff and burying his statue celebrating?
That's what they said, right? They were celebrating because they were no longer under his, or they were trying to no longer be under his rule. Okay, Riker, Adam, I need your eyes up here, listening, following along. Last section 4, forming a new government. So these were some main things that I was looking at that would be important for you to kind of take note. Somebody was in charge. They formed this committee to plan this new government. Who was in charge of that committee, Wyatt? He might be in your vocab people places as well, as I think he was a bold name.
Might be wrong, but
So you might have him written down twice. Did you find it? John Dickinson, right, was the head of this committee. Okay. What was the first plan? So they did finally create their first plan of government. What did they call it? Josh?
The Artitions of Confirmation.
Articles of Confederation was the first plan of government. And what was important about this particular plan? Not that it was necessarily their government and their rules. It went kind of beyond that. Why was it important? Adam? What's that? Okay. They all had a vote. Kenny?
each state could govern itself.
I think we need to think beyond that. June? Right, so it's going to become very important for those states to work together and be united during this particular during this war. Okay, so this plan kind of helps keep them united and holds them together. Because at some point, the king tries to affect one colony, thinking the other colonies aren't going to do anything, but they all come together and help that colony. Okay, so it keeps those colonies working together. So this plan of government becomes important for that reason. It keeps them together during the war. Okay, so that was then lesson 5. This is the last lesson in chapter 8, which means we have a test coming up. So we have, tomorrow is Friday, so we'll review tomorrow. We will take our chapter 8 test then on Monday. And then we'll start chapter 9, which is all on the Revolutionary War, on Tuesday. So 8 was leading up to it, and now we're getting into the war. Okay? It's fine. All right, so today you have an 8-5 workbook page you're going to do. You can use your notes. You can use the book. Make sure at this point, once I post this, you still have those lesson 5 notes posted or submitted to get some credit. Okay? You also have for reading, you're going to read the last 2 chapters in the book, chapter 19 and 20. and answer those questions that go with those 2 chapters. Last 2 chapters, our test for the Red Fern will be next Wednesday. Okay?
Wait,
Question, Sean?
is today the last 2 chapters?
Today, reading 19 and 20. Kenny?
Bad chapter.
No. All right,